So AI right across the board in all sectors and all businesses is being used a lot, rightly so as well. But how much can you rely on it to actually give you business advice, thoughts, ideas, and insight? Well, in this video, we are trying to find out if ChatGPT can tell us the worst businesses that we should be avoiding and the business sectors that we should be going into. What is the worst business to start in 2025? I hope that this is number one video agency, because then I'll be proven right. Here we go. Brick and mortar retail stores. And it's put in brackets here, actually, without a clear niche. Absolutely agree with that one. I think if you are setting up a business, buying a business, or whatever the third point is that I was going to make around business, and it revolves around bricks and mortar, you've really, really got to have yourself an experience-based business, I would say. So when people are coming in, they are willing to or wanting to come back, or they need to go to your store for whatever reason. They're not, or you're not competing on price. You know, you're not competing with the neighboring stores. There is a real reason for people to come to you and your store. One of the other things, or trends, maybe it's not the right word, that we're starting to see now is business owners who have a brick and mortar store, sometimes even reducing the size of the actual store front that customers would be in and using some of that space for content creation like this. You know, you maybe built an audience. When people are going to see your store, they're happy to be in the space that, oh, this is the place that I've seen on the videos, if that kind of makes sense. So a lot of things to think about, definitely a challenge, but that is how you get around it. Print newspapers, magazines, absolutely. Print is dead and has been for many, many years. Traditional travel agencies, yeah, tech, AI, all that sort of stuff, really going to disrupt the travel space. We actually saw how easily the travel space was just totally dismantled by COVID. You know, I know the travel restrictions were worldwide or in most countries, and the travel industry just absolutely fell to its knees. Trust me, I had many thousands of pounds invested in TUI, and it was still to see that come back. So yeah, I think that innovation in that space, whatever that innovation is, probably needs to arrive quickly, and you need to be on that rush, if that makes sense. Number 4. DVD, Blu-ray rental businesses. I think that one's an obvious one. I don't think this is meant to be worst businesses to start in 2025. That was a worst business to start 25 years ago. So there we go. Taxi or limousine service. Yeah, I've heard some business owners who actually operate in that space talking about how difficult it is. The drivers themselves for the limousine service need a special kind of license. I didn't know that until recently. So finding the staff for that, as well as the vehicles, can be pretty difficult. Cheap fast food chains without a focus on health or sustainability, it's put in brackets. Why it's likely consumers are becoming more health conscious and environmentally aware. I'm just going to say that I agree with all of the points it's going to make on that one and move on. Generic mobile phone accessories. Before I even read the answer, I'm probably assume that is the fact that all those things are becoming so commoditized. Temu and Shein and all these big disruptors, and they are disruptors, absolutely outdoing Amazon on price. The quality is more or less the same because they're all bought from the same supplier in China or Far East or wherever in the world. So if Shein's selling it, or a seller on Shein or Temu, versus a seller on Amazon in America who has to inflate the price by 10x just to make money, that space is a concerning one as much as it is an opportunity, to be perfectly honest. And then there's a few others on there which are pretty much out of date. I would say landline and home phone services, most definitely. Do you know what I'm looking at buying a business at the moment, and I asked them, what are you doing for advertising? Because we as a marketing agency want to buy a business and grow the business through marketing. So I was like, what are you doing for marketing now at the moment? And they were like, oh, we still pay, I think, 400 quid a month for the yellow pages. I thought the yellow pages just didn't exist anymore. Can you believe that? And then Yell.com as well. That was the other one that they were advertising. Crazy, absolutely crazy that anybody thinks that is money well spent. 400-500 quid for some businesses is zero on a marketing budget sort of scale. But regardless, that 400-500 quid could be better spent elsewhere. Right, the next question is going to be, what is the most lucrative business to start in 2025? It would help if I could spell lucrative. There we go. let's ask and see what it says. Okay, now this is quite interesting. So I like that it starts with a bit of a disclaimer, a bit of a get out of jail free card, where it says the most lucrative business in 2025 will depend on factors like your expertise, location, and resources. And too many people, in fairness, do try and look for that one-size-fits-all answer. What is the business that I need to create? You've seen a huge shift into drop shipping, for example, just before COVID and definitely during COVID, where everybody thought that was the best way to make money, myself included, by the way. We all fell for that hype, I would say. And so there's not a one-size-fits-all, there's not a direct answer, but that is often what everybody is looking at. But anyways, a few of the areas that it has given: tech and software development. Now, a lot of people do think that this is a very lucrative space, and it can be if you break out of that kind of startup phase and you actually get to the point where you're selling the subscription that you want at scale, at volume. Really, really early days of a software business can be very time consuming, can be very damaging to your wallet. In the short term, your funds take an absolute hammering, and I can speak from experience on that one, having tried to set up a software company or having a few software ideas. Everyone has an idea for an app, don't they? So number 2, e-commerce and online retail. Another space that I've desperately tried to succeed in when I tried setting that one up during COVID. I talk about it on previous videos. Not always as easy as you think. Lucrative, it can be if you're set up right, but definitely not drop shipping, which is give the example here. Drop shipping, print on demand. I absolutely disagree that you can run a successful business from that, because all of the people who tell you they've run a successful business make most of their money from selling their course to tell you how to run a successful dropshipping business. The problem with the dropshipping, the problem with print on demand, is that all of your margins are eaten up by the fact that you are doing things so late. You're not buying in bulk, you're not getting that cost per item down as much as you can be, and therefore you end up either selling the product way higher than average, or the above market average, or you match your competitors and then you make no money at all. So I really find that a bit of a daft business idea. Health and wellness, one space that I've not tried to set up a business in, so I can't talk too much. But again, if you're talking about, as this is here, telemedicine, health tech, fitness and wellness products, there's a very, very saturated space. So you've really, really got to know where you're at and what you're doing well there. Personalized health, supplements, things like that. Again, a lot of time can go into actually creating them, but once you're up and running, who's to stop you? Certainly not me. Number 4, sustainable and green businesses. I don't really know what to think about this one. I mean, not that we've said the type of person that's going to be setting this up, but it says renewable energy solutions. Now, that is a big investment, and you've got to be pretty smart to be, working on products around that, or at least I think you do anyways. Eco-friendly products, I think there's a lot that businesses can be doing to move into that sort of space, or doing a lot more for environmental, which always, ticks the right boxes. A lot of businesses see it as, but also does a lot for consumers who maybe are conscious about that. So absolutely agreeing with that. Then it says electric vehicles. Who's going to think I'm going to get into business? I tell you what, I'll just create an electric vehicle. We are not all Elon Musk. We're not setting up Tesla. So I find that a bit of a weird suggestion. A few other suggestions in there: real estate and property tech, a space I do genuinely think will get hugely disrupted by AI and technology, the real estate business. Financial services, fintech, again, who's going to set up, a competitor to Monzo and kind of an online bank, unless you just want to delve into cryptocurrencies, which is one of its suggestions. I can't always recommend that one. And then a few others in there around technology and that. Weirdly, it's given pet industry. Pet products and services. People are spending more on their pets, from gourmet pet foods. Did you know that, Jono? I didn't. Pet health insurance, I think that's an obvious one. Pet accessories and pet spas. There we go. Well, that's treating your dog better than it maybe deserves. But there we are. So a few suggestions in terms of the most lucrative. Not all of the most lucrative are the most, not all of the most obvious suggestions are actually the most lucrative. There's always some caveats. So there we have it. AI, ChatGPT, doing its very best to give us some valuable insight into how to run a business. Now, would ChatGPT itself make a good entrepreneur? I'm not too sure, because it can only go from the information that it's being fed. Even ChatGPT is getting bought into the hype of some businesses that should have no hype around them whatsoever. So I'm not too sure. As an entrepreneur or as a business owner, you need to be forward thinking. You need to have ideas. You need to be looking to innovate. Otherwise, you are only ever going to be standing still. So I think overall, AI, ChatGPT, and the likes obviously needs to be implemented into businesses. That is the future, but can it tell you what the future looks like? I don't think so.